Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Code Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation, Gujri Mahalla Panjwa, composition of the fifth Nanak, Guru Arjan, and the recitation. Jor Kari Benanti, Thakur apna ਧਿਆਇਆ ਹਾਥ ਦੇ ਰਾਖੇ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਸਗਲਾ ਦੁਰਤ ਮਿਟਾਇਆ ਠਾਕੁਰ ਹੋਏ ਆਪ ਦਿਆਲ ਭਈ ਕਲਿਆਣ ਆਨੰਦ ਰੂਪ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਉਬਰੇ ਬਾਲ ਗੋਪਾਲ ਰਹਾਓ ਮਿਲਵਰ ਨਾਰੀ ਮੰਗਲ ਗਾਇਆ ठाकुर का जयकार कहो नानक तिस गुर बलिहारी जिन सबका किया उधार मिलवर नारी मंगल गाया ठाकुर का जयकार कहो नानक तिस गुर बलिहारी जिन सबका किया उधार. So the Shabad is two stanzas and the Rahau verse, which is the reflection, which says that the master, Thakur, is benign, benevolent. It is also the shepherd, Gopal, who shapes and balances our mind, ubare bal, with what? With virtue, bhai kalyan, and that gives the mind bliss. So this is really the methodology. So you need the benevolence, you need grace, which is always present, incidentally, and then bhai kalyan. Kalyan means welfare. It also means auspicious. Another connotation is virtue. So bhai kalyan here means when grace smiled upon me, Thakur hoyap deyal, that is also its nature, the cultivation of virtue, that was my welfare, virtue. And then, Anand Roop hui hai. I became an embodiment of bliss. Ubare Bal Gopal. Bal here it means a newborn, but the meaning here is also potency. It also means to be raised by means of a balance. So here, the connotation is Ubare Bal Gopal is to be lifted up. The mind is lifted up with wisdom by the Gopal. It is a name for Krishna as a shepherd. So he's the shepherd, the guide that teaches us how to cultivate virtue. And then in the opening verse, you get a sense of how this process works. Doe kar jod kari benanti. Doe kar jod. Two. Kar, hands. Jod, to fold your hands. So it's very clear. First, the Guru says, I offered my supplications. Benanti. With folded hands. That's another way of saying I made my mind receptive, submissive to new knowledge. And then, Thakur apna dhyaya. And then I focused my mind on the self within, with attentive contemplation. You need contemplation, and you do that by engaging with good wisdom. And that's when the Supreme Beloved lent me its force. When I did that, it lent me its force. Haath de rakhe Parmesar. And because it lent me its support, balanced me, the malignancy of my mind was cured. Sagala durat mitaya. Durat means a wicked intention. It means foolish, malign, ill-disposed. But what really it means here is the limitations of the ego. So when I offered my supplications and contemplated on the teachings of the Guru, I was assisted by the Supreme Being itself. It lifted me up. And with that lifting up, my mind was cured of its prevarications. The ego was dissolved. And that happened because, as we saw in the Rahau, the Master is benign and is the shepherd. He's the one that is playing both sides, actually. So Nanak concludes by saying that I submit to that Gur that is benign and beneficial for everyone. Kaho Nanak, tis Gur balihari, jin sabka kiya udhar. A benevolent force. Milvar nari mangalagaya. When that union happened, when the mind bride found her suitor self, we'll see what that means. Songs of joy rang out. Hail to the Master. So the concept here is the mind being seen as feminine, a bride, which is something that's very common in the Indian tradition, in the Bhakti tradition especially. It is referred to as an Atman or a Jeev. And in the Sikh tradition, it's usually called the Suhagan. And the eternal spouse is called Sahib or Thakur. So the desire to erase Durmat, wrong thinking, reflects our mind's innate knowledge for longing for knowledge, for meaning, for purpose. We're always looking for purpose and meaning. This is built into us. And in order to do that, we need to step out the limitations of our cultural narratives, our beliefs, expectations, because these constitute the walls that make change and expansion impossible. So that is how this process works. And we have to realize that the Thakur is actually on both sides. Har aape Thakur, har aape sevak ji, kya nanak jant vichara. What can this instrument speak of? Essentially, the Har itself is the master on the one hand. That's one side of the equation. And the Har is the Sevak, the one in servitude. So, tu Thakur Sevak phun aape. Again, this is the game. It's playing a game on both sides. A very fascinating game. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.